and that is the computerized school selection and placement system, simply called the CSSPS. As students transition from junior high schools to senior high schools or technical or vocational institutions, this journey is often seen as a pivotal moment in their lives. The CSSPS was introduced with noble intentions, and that is to create a merit-based, transparent, and efficient process for placing our young minds into the schools that best fits their aspirations. However, recent data reveals a concerning statistics of nearly 19% of our JHS graduates who do not secure placement in any of their chosen schools. This prompts vital questions. Are we truly honoring the preferences of our students? Do rural students face additional barriers that hinder their success? And how are schools and parents managing the challenges of overcrowding and limited spaces in our senior high schools? In this episode, we will explore these critical issues to understand how we can bridge the gaps in the CSSPS. Our goal is to foster a constructive dialogue that not only highlight the existing challenges, but also pave the way for meaningful improvements in our education system. So, whether you are a student, a parent, an educator, or simply a concerned citizen, stay tuned as we unpack the complexities of the CSSPS and work together towards a brighter future for our cherished children. With me, to do justice to this topic, is no mean a person than the president of the Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana. Should I say Mr.? Because there's a king, which happens to be a title. So all I can say, Mr. King Ali Awudu. Yeah. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Nice having you.
Thank you for having me.
Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana. What is it about? Well, and what does it stand for?
Thank you very much, and then good morning to your listeners. And we used to be called Coalition of Concerned Teachers. Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Concerned teachers. That one is resonate more with people. Last year, November, at our National Congress, we decided to change the name to reflect truly who we are and their unionism. We are teachers that work with the Ghana Education Service, that is pre-tertiary. So our union is a pre-tertiary union. The teachers that form our union teach in KG, primary, JHS, and SHS under the Ghana Education Service. So we reframe the name and then we call ourselves now pre-tertiary teachers, because basically that is what we are. We are pre-tertiary. So like the way we have university teachers, we are pre-tertiary teachers, KG, primary, JHS, SHS, and the Ghana Education Service.
Wow. So then this issue about the CSSPS falls squarely
within
your
our domain. Yes.
Yeah, because
yes.
Our cherished students, for which reason we are here today,
are those that we teach.
The products.
Yes, they are our products.
Your work.
Yes.
Wow. So basically, some years back during our time, there is what you call the common entrance.
Yes.
And it is the heads of the secondary schools who come together and perform an exercise that can be likened to like a balloting or that kind of thing. So they choose and pick and choose and pick and that kind of thing. Eventually, people are placed. And that was seen to be a bit, it's a manual system. It has its own inherent challenges. There was a suspicion of bias and unfairness and what have you. And so, in the world of digitalization, I'm sure we thought that CSSPS would have solved whatever challenges that bedeviled the old system. Has the challenges been addressed?
Challenges have not been fully addressed.
Okay.
But the CSSPS as it is today is still better off than the manual system that we were using. The manual system was first introduced in 2006
Okay.
under President Kufuor. Now, before then, as you said, when BEC results are released, SHS has with their team, they meet as a center where the raw scores or the results of these BEC graduates are, and then they select. What happens is that the so-called category A schools, because technically speaking, there is no anything like that within Ghana Education Service, but people have talked and talked and it has become so, to the extent that some politicians are even saying that. There's nothing like that. It is a group of people that have created all those mess and it is giving us challenges. So some secondary schools that are known to do well will go and then they will select students that have the best grades, best scores here and there. And sometimes a student can have even a very good score, but because the parents do not have the resources to possibly talk to somebody in a school A or school B, they don't get the opportunity of going to the Achimotes, the Presec, the Prempes, and Fancy Pims and Co. So by 2004, the dialogue has begun. And then by 2006, it was ruled out. So the first students into senior high school that were placed by the CSSPS were in 2006. So we are getting to about 20 years now since it was implemented.
Wow.
We are in the 19th year. Now, 19 years is quite a long time that a policy or anything that has been implemented, we should have been able to identify all the bottlenecks and then have fixed it by now. But there are a lot of inherent challenges, some fueled by human involvement, that is making it so difficult to iron out all the bottlenecks of the CSSPS. Currently, students are made to choose a number of schools. However, almost all the students will choose, out of the over 700 senior high schools in this country, we can have about 90% of JHS graduates choosing schools from a list of just about 30 to 50. Because every JHS student wants to go to Achimota, wants to go to Presec Legon, wants to go to Fancy Pim, wants to go to Wesley Girls, wants to go to Tamale Secondary School, wants to go to Opokowari, wants to go to Prempeh. So the schools that almost every JHS graduate wants to go, the schools are limited. So what happens is that some of these schools have mentioned, others have not mentioned, at the end of the day are oversubscribed. If you take Achimota School, for example, if it is 500 first-year students that they can take, they can have about 10,000 or more people subscribing. And only about 500 or around that number can be taken. So when it happens like that, the placement in itself becomes a challenge. Another problem is also that the students are made to choose quite a number of schools, 6 or 7. There are some of the students that they have been placed in the schools that they themselves chose. And then they will come back and say that they do not want those schools. The reason is that when you are choosing the schools, your first choice must come from a certain group. Your second choice must come from a certain group. Your third choice must come from a certain group. Out of the 7 schools that you are choosing, at least 2 of the schools must be day schools. And the rule is that you should be ready to accept posting to any of the schools that you have chosen that you are posted to. But somebody can choose a particular senior high school. Let me say the person has chosen Prempeh College, the person has chosen maybe Achimota School, the person has chosen maybe St. Louis, and maybe the 4th choice, the person chooses, let's say, Barakese Senior High School. It is the thinking of the person that there is no way he will miss his first choice, second choice, third choice, and go and get 4th choice. So when they give some people their 4th choice, 5th choice, 6th choice, 7th choice, they are just not happy about it and they do not want to go. It is because of the way as a country we have over-concentrated our attention on a few schools and drum home into the mind of these JHS students that it is either you are in one of these schools or you are not in school.
Actually, that was the question I was going to come out with, because in your earlier submissions, you made mention of the fact that there is nothing like category A, B schools, but it's the doing and the saying of people, and which has given it that kind of recognition of a kind. But then, if I recall, if you look at the school selection document that is shared, you are told that choose a school from maybe a category A school, then a category B, and then the categories.
So the categories in the public mind is not what Ghana Education Service sees it. In the public mind, if they say this school is category A, the thinking of the public is that this school is better than this B.
Obviously.
And the B is better than the C. The C is better than the D.
Yeah.
So another belief is also that then if you go to the A, the possibility of excelling is higher than when you go to the B. And then when you go to the B, the possibility of excelling is higher than when you go to the C. And that is not how GES sees it. What GES have done is that over the years, the Ghana Education Service have realized that there is a group of schools that the majority of the students choose. So if it is not regulated and you ask the students that they should choose schools without regulating it, all the students, if I'm choosing, let's say, 5 schools, the person can choose Achimota, will choose Presec, will choose Infansepim, will choose Prempeh, will choose, let's say, Opokuware. You get it?
Okay.
So if it happens like that, and the subscription of all these schools are high, the number of people selecting these schools are high. So at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is that all the other schools, nobody will choose it, and the schools will collapse. So what GES have done is not actually that I'm putting schools in category A, B, C, D with the intention that some are better than others, but it is regulate the JHS student, from choosing of the school. So the schools have been put in blocks. So your first choice, you can choose from this school. The second school that you want to choose, you still cannot choose from this block. You have to choose from this block. The third school that you want to choose, you have to choose from this block. Because we have over 700 schools in this country, senior high schools in this country. If that is not done, only about 30 schools will be choosing. For example, Greater Accra region here, if students are given the opportunity that they should choose schools that they want and automatically they will be taken to those schools, I don't see why students will not choose Achimota School. Why they will not choose Presec Lagos, for example. Why they will not choose like Accra Girls. Why they will not choose like St. Mary's Girls. Those are the schools, everybody will choose that. And they will leave out almost all the other schools out. But every school must be chosen.
So then, the understanding of the categorization system by parents and students is true and it's right. Because even within the academic sector, you do gradings. When you excel, you are given an A. After that, it's either a B. When you get an F, it means you failed. So is it wrong for people to have the same predomination and assign the same reasoning to the schools, to think that once there's a category A school, then it's the best school? And once my child finds himself in the best environment with environmental influences, he's likely to come out better than he could.
It is not always so. Sometimes statistics do not come out clearly for people to see.
Okay.
The schools that people describe as category A school, people go to those schools and they fail.
Okay.
Not one, not two, large numbers. People get F, people get E, people get D. D, E, F are not accepted in tertiary institutions. You must have A, B, C. So people go to those schools and they fail. Now, another challenge here is the science and math quiz.
Okay.
You see, now, what people have lost sight is that if Presec Legon wins science and math quiz, and you are taking your child to the school to go and do general arts, and because they have won science and math quiz, you think it's a good school, and you take your child there, your child is not going to read science. That isn't going to affect your child.
But what if the child is going to read science?
If the child is going to read science, then fine. I'm trying to use this for as examples because the science and math quiz, for example, if a school wins it, then the assumption is that that is overall best school. No, it's for a course. You understand? And again, the school environment and things that pertain within the environment and other things is important. Recently, new schools has been built, STEM schools and all that. Many of them have fantastic facilities than the Presec, the Achimoters and Co. But students are still not going because in the country that we are living in, we have drummed home into the minds of the people. And that is the basic thing. And all students and what have you. You see, so everybody believes that for secondary school, it is these groups of schools. And it is these groups of schools that our past presidents have attended. Our past presidents have gone to Achimota. Our past presidents have gone to Prempeh. So me too, I want to find myself in those schools. And these were the schools that were built during the colonial era. They have been in existence for a very long time. So when you come to Ghana's top echelon, the people that occupy the top, these are people that are old, people that are beyond 50, people that are beyond 60. So most definitely, they cannot be students of the Harry Sawyer schools that were established in the 90s. They cannot be product of the Harry Sawyer school that were established in the 90s. And they cannot be product of the Edichum STEM schools. It's not possible. They will be product of the Mfansipim, the Achimoters, the Presec, because those are the old schools. During their time, those were the schools that existed, and that's it. For example, last 3 weeks, I was in Rioso Senior High School. Don Mahini of Rioso, he went to Rioso Senior High School. Rioso was established somewhere in 1960. He went there. It was one of the Kwame Nkrumah schools. That's where he attended. Now, Rioso Senior High School, every high echelon person in Rioso and its environs today went to Rioso Senior High School because as at then, that was the only school available. Even we have His Royal Majesty, the current Asantehene, attending Rioso Senior High School. You see? So, the new schools that are coming up, if GES does not put its feet on the ground, and when people are posted to those schools, they come back and they say that, no, I still want Wesley Girls, I still want Achimota, I still want St. Peter's. Those schools will cease to exist because they will not have students. Unfortunately for us, these schools that everybody wants to go do not have the capacity to admit
all of them.
the hundreds of thousands of BEC students. They can't admit them.
Okay, so you see, one of the fundamental objectives of the CSSPS is to ensure equitable distribution of graduates of GHS to the senior high schools. We must also accept the fact that there are fundamental opinions and understandings of our school system, like you have alluded to.
Yeah.
How do we address these so that we can achieve this fundamental objective of the CSSPS? Because the point is that if most of the parents of today attended some of these traditional schools and their mindset is that those are the best schools, they will ensure and encourage their student, their child to go there.
That's it. That's
Meanwhile, there's low publicity on these new schools with massive and better infrastructure. There is no sensitization on the achievement of these new schools. So how would you have this kind of equilibrium where these schools can attract some of these would-be graduates?
Thank you. As for trying to advertise the schools, GES doesn't do that. Now, as you rightly said, many of the aged parents today, grandparents, they went to some of these schools we have mentioned. And traditionally, they would like their walls, their own children, their grandchildren to go there. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that if your child selects Achimota School and then the placement comes and the person has been placed to, let's say, the 5th choice of the school that he selected, don't go and ask for the manipulation of the system. Allow the student to go. The entire problem of the CSSPS is not because it is not placing people, but it is because it places people. And then they come back and say that the school that I chose the school, I've been placed there, but I don't like it. That's why I said earlier that out of the 7 schools the child have chosen, it is the child thinking that I should by all means get my first choice. But the Fancy PIM you have selected as your first choice have the facility to admit no more than 1,000 first-year students. And about 20,000 people have first-year students have selected the school. What would they do? So after they have admitted to their full capacity, they use the raw score. So after the placement has been done and the raw score they have taken up to their 1,000, the rest, you go to your next choice. You go to your next choice. Another thing is also that the admission is not done just because you have selected a school. The course you have selected also comes into play. That is why somebody can come and say that I got aggregate 7. I chose Presec Legon. I didn't get it. Somebody got aggregate 14, but the person have gotten it. It is because...
Actually, that is my next line of interest. But then I want us to go for a short break.
Okay.
And when we come back, the point is that in our traditional adage, we say that you don't throw away the baby with the dirty water. Come what may, the CSSPS has served us for about 19 years, like you already said.
Yes.
And so we need to look at how to make it stronger and better. And that also includes the understanding of parents and students, as well as teachers of the pre-tertiary educational system.
Yes.
So viewers, stay tuned. We'll be back in a short while.
From the loudest roar of celebrations to the deafening silence of defeat, we live it here on Clock Sports. Feel every punch, every tackle, and relive all the beautiful sporting moments with us.
Mohamed Salisu pounces for Ghana.
Join us on Mondays and Fridays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and our midweek special on Wednesdays 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m.
Welcome back. It's getting interesting. We want to find out whether the CSSPS is achieving this main objective of efficient allocation of students to the senior high schools, and whether it is merit-based and that we are not actually influencing the placement. And like I earlier on said, I have King Ali Awudu.
Yes.
Who, if you have to conjugate his name, you can say Alidu. But the name is Ali Awudu. So, welcome back.
Thank you.
You see, we were trying to find out basically how we can improve the system and the kind of things that undermine the efficiency of the system. And so I want to find out how, what do you call it, programs, selection or choice, vis-a-vis the outcome of the students' performance, play critical roles in the placement process.
Okay, thank you very much. Earlier on, I was saying that some parents sometimes do not understand why a student that got like aggregate 14 had Presec Legon Achimota School, and another student that got like aggregate 7, sometimes even 6, did not get the same school. It is about the program. When you take a school like Presec Legon, because of the outstanding performance in science, many parents that won the awards to read science, boys, would like to send them to Presec Legon. So at the end of the day, you realize that the science program in Presec Legon will be oversubscribed. So if Presec is ready to admit maybe 100 or 200 students for science, they may end up having thousands of people applying to the school to do science. At the end of the day, they use the raw score. You can even have aggregate 6. But another person who got aggregate 6 have a higher raw score than you. And so he will be taken and you will not be taken. But the person that got 14 applied to Presec Legon to do visual arts.
Okay.
And there's no competition. He had 18. He applied to Presec Legon to do a Greek. There's no competition. So he can even get aggregate 25 and apply to Legon to read a Greek, and he will get admission. To read visual art, and he will get admission. So when you are making those comparisons, the first thing is to find out from the student, you, which course did you apply for? And then you too, which course did you apply? That's very important. One thing that many parents do not know, and let me pass this later education, the BECE is unlike the WASSCE. The WASSCE is a criterion reference test. It is you and you. It is set that when you get 75%, it is an A. So even if 1 million people sit for the exam in a particular subject, and they all get above 75, they all get A1. It is not manipulated.
Okay.
But the BEC is not like that. BEC, they use the standing grading system, and it is a norm reference test. In the norm reference test, the standing grading system, we apply 1 to 9. Again, in BEC, we don't fail. People also don't know that. We fail in WASSCE, we don't fail in BEC. The reason is that the basic education, they are minors. Many of them leave JHS at 13, 14. You cannot ascribe failure to them at that stage.
Okay.
So when you take the BECE results, we don't have the word fail and we don't have the word excellent. At that stage, nobody is excellent and nobody is a failure. If you take the WASSCE results, if you get A1, it's excellent. Then they have very good, B2. Then they have good, B3. It continues like that. And then the F9 is categorically fail. They write it there, fail. But in the BEC, if you get 1, they give you the remarks highest.
Okay.
You have noted, they give you highest.
Yeah.
If you get 2, they give you higher. If you get 3, they give you high. And then when you get 4, you get high average. If you get 5, you get average. If you get 6, you get low average. And then lower. And then the person that got the least grade, which is the 9, is lowest. You are the lowest, but you're not the failure. And then 2, the results are predetermined even before the exam itself is written. So, for example, it is predetermined that this year's English that will be written by the GHS students, 5% of the students should get 1. That is predetermined. It is not about the grade, the percentage you got. It's not like you wrote the exam and you got 70%, 80%, 90%, and you ascribe 1 to it. No. So we have 100 people who have written the exams. And out of the 100 people that have written the exams, it has been predetermined that 5% of that 100 people must get aggregate 1. What it means is that 5 people out of that 100 will get 1. If the highest person had aggregate 95, the results is 95, and then the 5th person is 93. You, the 6th person that you got 92, you had 92, but you will not get 1, you will get 2. And it continues like that. That is why the BEC, nobody is failed. So in the actual sense, anybody that comes out of JHS must be placed in a school because nobody has failed.
Okay. I still want us to address the challenge of placement, which from all your presentations, it appears to be the cause of, let's say, parents and students' inadequate understanding of the placement system or sheer unwillingness to accept placements. But don't you think also that infrastructural imbalance also could influence this? Because I remember, I think in the era of the XY administration, there were some infrastructural development and expansions that were undertaken in these so-called Category A schools. Meanwhile, there were other schools that were not that attractive, but have capacities. And we did not make efforts to improve on facilities there as a means of attraction. Don't you think these are some of the issues that undermine the CSSPS?
Infrastructure in education is everything.
Okay.
It's everything. I mean, there's no qualms about that. If you are to read science and there are no laboratories, if you are to do ICT and there are no ICT labs, if you don't have proper classroom to have the conducive atmosphere for teaching and learning, nothing better could come out. That is true. But many of these schools that the students do not want to go have excellent infrastructure. Many of them. In 2006, when they started the school placement for the first time, I was then teaching in Ejuraman Senior High School, Ejura in Ashanti region. The school is a day school. It's one of the Harisoya schools, built in 1993.
Okay.
It's a day school. But when the computer placement started for the very first year in 2006, it posted people from very far to the school. It's a day school, so people living in and around Ejura are the students that the computer should have posted them there. But it posted people even from Accra to the place.
So there's a challenge.
So that was a clear challenge.
Okay.
So the then headmaster, he's even late now, quickly has to convert 2 classrooms to dormitory, boys' dormitory and girls' dormitory. We together helped him report to the Ghana Education Service, the ministry, and then quickly the state started and they put up dormitory facilities for them. However, there are some schools in this country cut across that have the infrastructure, they have the dormitories, they have all those things, but the students don't want to go. One thing is also that a lot of these big schools, some of the infrastructure that they have are also built by old students.
Okay.
Old students contribute a lot. As I said earlier, those are the old schools. So many of the renowned people in society today, they attended those schools. I mentioned we also Senior High School that I was there about 3 weeks ago. His Royal Majesty Otumfuo is building a girls' dormitory. As if we finished building it. It's like a hotel, a big one. He's an old student. You see, so old students helps a lot. Some of these lower schools do not have any meaningful old students to help them. Another thing is also that these renowned schools, many of the people occupying influential positions in this country today attended those schools.
So obviously, there is room for the
when His Excellency late Prof. Mills became Ghana's president, he transformed Achimota School. He asphalted the school. He built a big dormitory. They call it house, a big house, and they named it Atta Mills House.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
He's an old student from there.
I've
Yes, he's an old student from there. So that one also plays a role. And naturally, it's human nature. And I don't fault that. For example, if I have become a minister for education,
obviously,
and the secondary school I attended, even if I don't go there, I'll be in the office when the headmistress will come.
Obviously.
And come and remind you that you are an old student of the school. So that actually also sometimes have a toll on the lesser schools. But maybe the state needs to empower the district assemblies and then give them a target that the secondary schools under you bring them up to this minimum level of infrastructure so that they power the district assemblies, because all these schools are within district assemblies. So if you are a municipal or a district and the secondary schools under you, none of them is doing better, they have rickety structures. As a DCU or MCE, you should not be happy about that.
I mean, thank you very much. So this is where my interest lies. The intentionality and policy direction and policy reviews. Because if responsibilities or tasks are assigned to these assemblies, they could influence the status of these schools, isn't it?
Yes.
So in the same vein, if some intentionality is put into getting parents to understand how the CSSPS works, I'm sure things would not be as we see.
Parents, they understand.
No, okay, so for
parents, they
instance,
understand. But as I said, it is going to take quite some time. For example, as we sit here right now, if we put Oxford and Legon and ask a student to choose, the possibility of choosing Oxford is very high. It is not because that it is cut in stone that when you go to Oxford, you become successful in life. No, it is not cut in stone. There are people that have gone to Oxford that have not been successful like some people that have gone to Legon. You see, but the mere fact that over the years, we've all been made to know that the Oxford, the Harvard, the Cambridge, the Yale, they are the universities. So it will be the wish of almost everybody to be there. That's why I say I don't fault parents if they want their children to go to the Presec and Fancy Pio, Achimoters and Co. But if we want the system to work, and the system should be on merit base, then we shouldn't manipulate the system. That's the problem. Look, right now, the Director General of Ghana Education Service, he's unable to stay in his office. He has put off his phone because the pressure is too much. And people bring lists, and these are politicians.
So, fine. So my concern here is that how can we clear this hurdle? I remember some years back when Manfi
SHS.
Senior High School
yes,
came into being.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they had just one block or something.
Yes.
But through the influence of the Methodist Church, which has a stake in it, if what I heard was true, the then headmistress of West Girls was transferred there so that she can inculcate that experience into that school. Years on, go to Memphis Senior High School. It's a transformed environment. Even driving on the main road to Kufuridua, you could see it's a transformed environment. Then we heard about the robotics and that kind of thing. So these are the policy intentionalities that I was talking about. Because people...
Another one is Ifyakubi. That was intentionally transformed. So it can be done.
Exactly.
It can be done. It can really, 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 really be done. So the secondary schools are not hidden. I mean, they are in the various district assemblies. So we'll plead with government to empower the district and then give them a minimum standard. You see, GES is a policy implementer.
Okay.
GES doesn't provide infrastructure, it doesn't set policy. They are a policy implementer. Everything is the ministry. So if you are a school and then you don't have infrastructure, you don't have buildings, you don't have chairs and other things, that technically is not part of the work. Okay. It's the ministry gets funds, supposed to raise money to do that. GES role is to make sure that policy is implemented, mainly curriculum. Teachers are available to teach the syllabus. Technically, that's the role of GES, to make sure also that teachers' remunerations are paid after negotiations has been completed and all that. But building the infrastructure is part of the district assembly's work, because I don't see how possible it will be for a minister for education here to award the contract of building, let me say, a dormitory block in a certain school, in a certain district somewhere, and then the DC or MC is not aware.
Not aware.
You see, so it is, and that should be done. As for parents, they understand the system. Another challenge is that some parents do not take so much interest when it is time for the students to choose the schools. When their children goes to even third, they don't care. You know, we have a higher percentage of parents themselves that have not had the benefit of formal education. So they know they are paying for their award to go to school, but when the awards come to third and certain, they don't take so much interest in it. So there are some of the schools that the children themselves, based on what they hear from their peers, me, when I leave JHS, I want to go to this school. That our friend that left last year is in this school, me too, I want to go and join him. So out of hearsay and peer pressure, they end up selecting certain schools that parents are not even aware. Many parents do not escort their children to go and
actually, for me, I think schools. That this statement has been expressed severally without any scientific data backing it. So I believe that is just some kind of generalization of issues.
The picking of the schools.
About the involvement of parents in the schools. Because the point is this: year in, year out, when it comes to the placement, we see the frustrations that parents go through.
Yes.
If parents were not involved in the selection, how do we see them exposed? That kind of thing.
They don't take part in the action. They wait for the reaction.
They wait for the reaction. Okay.
You see, so when it is time, we are in the schools, we see it.
You see, okay. So basically, what support mechanisms exist to support parents during this placement period, the kind of anxiety that they go through? How can that be addressed?
What government does so far is that they create a call center, and then they create a center at the teachers' hall at NAT, where those that have concerns will go. There are some people with genuine concerns. For example, there's this gentleman who was placed into the school of the deaf, for example, who
isn't.
He isn't. Somebody may be placed in the school of the blind. Those schools, he didn't choose any of them. So when there is evidence that the school that you have been placed is not part of any of the schools you chose, neither have you gone to do, because if the system is unable to give you any of the schools that you have chosen, the school shouldn't give you school at all. That is how it is.
Okay, so that you can do the self-placement.
So that you can go and do self-placement. Under no circumstance, the system should give you a school you have not chosen. So if the school, the system is unable to give you any of the schools that you have chosen, it will not place you in any school. And then the opportunity is given to you to select a school of your choice available. And then you go. But there are some people, the system gave them schools that is not part of the schools that they chose, and they don't like it. In that case, the changes must be done. But many of the people at the center are people who has been placed in one of the schools they chose. And have come and they want to. Some of those also have genuine concerns, which we even brought to the attention of the minister. He has made a statement about it.
Like a student being placed in a school outside his or her region, and that school happens to be a day school, like you.
That is, if you chose it. That's why I'm saying that when they are choosing the school, they must be guided. For example, somebody may be going to school, may finish GHS in Kaswa, that is where they live. But the person knows that Aquinas is a very good school, and Aquinas is a day school. That's an excellent school. So knowing Aquinas is a good school, you will go and choose Aquinas as one of the 2-day schools he is selecting. And then when you are placed there, you will now come and say that moving from Kaswa
to Aquinas,
yes, it's far. See, if only the school that you chose is part of those that you selected, then there is no problem.
Okay.
But the challenge I'm putting here is that there was one that came to my attention where the parents themselves were involved in the student choosing their schools, and the child actually gets the first choice, which they lack the school. But unfortunately, by the time the results will come, the parents has been transferred from Ashanti region to Central region. And there is evidence that must be solved.
That's a peculiar issue.
Yeah, that's a peculiar. But those are few.
Those are few. Okay, so also, you see, the academic environment should be enabling to support the practice of teaching and learning.
Yeah.
But then most often, especially for some of these category A schools, you realize that there's congestion, the dormitories are overcrowded,
Yes.
Classrooms
Yes.
crowded. In fact, sometimes you go and you see that the bunk beds have been placed in walkways and that kind of thing. And I believe that the placement is just a process towards you going through the senior high school education. And once you get into the educational environment, the environment must be conducive towards teaching and learning.
Yes.
But then you realize that we are creating stress in the dormitories, stress in the dining halls, and even stress for the teachers themselves.
Yes.
Well, how can this be addressed?
Yes, it's the same placement thing. It is because, let me name some schools. When you come to Accra, Presec Legon, Achimota School. In fact, Achimota School remains the most subscribed mixed school in Ghana.
Okay.
Because of all the mixed schools, Achimota stands tall.
In what sense?
In Ghana, the schools that people subscribe to most are either only boys' school or only girls' school. Schools that students subscribe to most are either boys' school or so. You can get Presec Legon, you can get Infancy Pim, you can get Adisadel, you can get St. Augustine's, you can get Presec Legon, you can get St. James Seminary in Sunyani, you can get Opoku Ware. You see, all these are boys' schools.
You mentioned these schools, but you've not even for once mentioned Accra Academy.
Accra Academy.
Okay, all right.
Accra Academy, yes. It's also a boys' school. Then the girls' school, that the schools are, we can get Accra Girls, St. Mary's, St. Louis, Wesley Girls, Holy Child. You see, these are also girls' schools. But when you come to the mixed schools that are outstanding, Achimota doesn't have PS. So after Achimota, you may go to like Tamale Secondary School, Tama School. You may go to Kita School. You see, so we have created a certain mate around these single sex schools. And over the years, they have all the resources, they have all the support both from government and old students. And these single sex schools keep rising. So anybody, for example, who wants to take the child to a mixed school and it is good, will always eye Achimota School first.
Okay.
That makes them overly subscribed. And the congestion will continue because these schools that are mentioned, everybody wants his or her child to be there. When the double track was created, where was it created? So that it can absorb large numbers. Currently, this government wants to put an end to the double track. These current form ones that have been admitted, they will go to school on the 18th October 2025 this year. By the time they will get to Form 3, the transition system will be no more. What it also means is that they will have to ground their feet to make sure that students that has been posted to other public senior high schools and even some private senior high school remain there. We cannot bring them up here again because double track doesn't exist anymore, starting with these first years. So if maybe because of double track, we could admit like 750, now we have to admit like 500. The rest will have to go to the senior high school that were existing but we're not having students.
Okay. To create
to create the balance. Because you go to some senior high schools in this country, you enter a classroom and the number of teachers cumulatively that teach that class are more than the students. There was a school that I went at the home economics class, they were 5. But they needed to get all the teachers.
Okay.
For maths, for commerce, for English, for social studies, for integrated science, for general knowledge, for catering, for all of them. They have to get, so they have 8 teachers teaching them 8 subjects, but the children, the students are 5. Meanwhile, you go somewhere and it's overcrowded, everything is overcrowded. You see, and it takes that political will to do it. Because, look, if I know that, Dosu, you are in charge of CSSPS, or you are the Director General, or you are the Minister for Education, and you are my friend, and I'll come to you. You know our Ghanaian system.
And it's difficult for me to say
it's
no.
difficult. It's difficult. So that is the problem for the system. Anybody that will say that the CSSPS is not doing the work it should do is not true. It is doing the work it should do. It's an automatic thing. They feed the raw square into the pack. It does it. But after it has come out with the results, that is when the human manipulations start. And it is all because of us.
Okay, so let me take you back. Normally, we do system reviews, and we live in a dynamic environment. Things change. the number of students that previously were exposed to education has increased over the years.
Yes, by far.
The technology has also shaped the thinking of people to the extent that choice preferences would have varied. Again, societal norms relationship has also given us some kind of perception towards preferring certain regions to the other and that kind of thing. Yeah. Has there been any review of the CSSPS system to identify its relevance to the demands of the day, of today, such that we could possibly mitigate the challenges, perceived challenges, if there is any, that occur from year to year, especially the kind of scenes we are exposed to every year when it gets to that season, where you could see visible frustrations on the faces of parents. Again, also is the fact that you can look at it from the economic impact, that these are breadwinners who would have to forego their work for the day and spend days on end chasing these things. What reviews, have there been any reviews of the system? And what has been the level of improvement to ensure that what we witnessed this year, going into next year, will not be the same scenario?
Okay, thank you. Again, what our proof is that the number of schools the students choose are quite too large. Because if the students are supposed to choose 7 schools, at the end of the day, because the child wants to exhaust the number 7, the child will make sure that the first 3 schools are those that I really want. But the remaining 4, if I don't choose it, the system is not complete and will not accept my submission. So they will select some schools and put it there, knowing very well that they are not schools that they like.
Exactly.
When we were in school,
certifying.
Yes, we were choosing 3, and you get one out of the 3. If you don't get any one out of the 3, you move on. Those days manual, so your parents will take you to the headmaster. You go and show your results, blah blah blah. Then you get admission. If we minimize the number of schools the students take, maybe 4. If you don't get any of your first choice to your 4th choice, go and do personal placement. If we make the numbers so large and the students end up selecting the 5th, the 6th, the 7th school, they themselves knowing very well that you don't like those schools, but they will have to select it in order to complete the system. If you post, to meet the requirement, if you take them to those schools, they will come back to the center and behave as if the school that they were placed to, they didn't even select it. You have selected 3 schools, none took you. Go into the system. The schools are there. Do self-placement. Most of the time, those that did not get any of the schools that they selected and are asked to go and do self-placement, they are okay than some of the people that were given like their 5th, 6th, 7th choice, and they are not happy. Most of the people at the center are these people, not those that were not placed. Because I know somebody who was not placed, but was able to get it to go and do general arts as boarding. As soon as the results came as no place, straight went to the system. You see so many schools still available, including the top one that Presec and Co. You may not, Presec, for example, you may not get science, but you see that Presec is available for the course visual arts, for home economics.
Exactly.
So people go there and then quickly they select and they get their school. But so far as you have been placed, you cannot go and do safe placement again. You are blocked. You can't enter the system because you have been placed. Such people will go to the placement center and they will want it to be changed for them. And it cannot be changed. Only few people, about 2 or 3 people, have that access. That you have in place already, and we can go into the system and get it changed and put another school there. Those that have the access to do that, and they are just about trying. It is a way of control. It is a way of control. So when you go to the teachers' hall in NAT, that the school that you have in place to, you don't want that school. Most of the time, they will take your details, they will ask you to go, and then ask you to check on another day, because the people sitting there will not have the keys to be able to do changes immediately. But if you were not placed at all, thereon they can do it for you because I have not been placed.
Thank you very much. So it is obvious that the system for placements and school selection needs some tweaking. For instance, if once we know that people select their 5th, 6th, and 7th choice schools just to complete or meet the requirement of school selection and placement, is it not possible that we can reduce the requirement to about 3?
Yes.
So that we can ensure that people would get their placement, and also that those who do not get it would have the opportunity of doing the self-placement. On this note, let's go for a break. We shall be back soon.
Mr. Nathan Kwao was one of the most respected civil servants. Even Achampong's regime attempted or tried to use his services, his efficiency, his integrity, his honesty. We cannot allow Mr. Nathan Kwao to just pass away without something in his memory.
Get ready for the 8th Nathan Annan Kwao Excellence Lecture and Award Ceremony. Save the date. This year's theme is Constitutionalism in the President's Appointment of Chief Executive Officers in the Public Service. Reflections on the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845.
We have examined and analyzed the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845. We are yet to identify any provision authorizing the President to terminate, post, appoint, and transfer any Chief Executive Officer, Chief Director, Head of the Department, and any employee of the public institution and public corporations. All of us should understand that to move this country forward, it should be Obiandi Nile.
Join us for an enlightening session with Dr. Daniel Appiah, a political governance expert and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Legon.
Ghana really gained independence as a shining example of economic development in Africa within the colonial administration. It was a shining example because, not because some governor had done the work, but the civil service in the Gold Coast had really delivered.
Date is 29th October 2025. Time 10 a.m. sharp. Location is the Nathan Kwao Auditorium. Don't miss this opportunity. Tune in live on Clock TV and let's illuminate our understanding of constitutionalism together. Excellence in action, knowledge in motion. Be there.
Lifestyle Extra. You called, we answered. This is your extended lifestyle show that touches on every aspect of our lives, be it health, fashion, sports, business, and so much more.
Thank you for staying tuned, and welcome back to Policy Pulse. Today we are delving deep into the misconceptions or the misunderstandings surrounding the computer selection and placement system, where people feel that the system is easily manipulated to the benefit of the few privileged ones at the expense of the many disadvantaged ones, to the extent that there's also the perception that if you can afford, you can get a choice. And so, sir, Mr. Awudu, thank you very much for staying with us. And I want to find from you, there's this rising perception of people buying their way and getting their choice of schools. Are there some veracity with this? If not, how can we disabuse the minds of people? Because there are people who have said that, look, I paid and I got my choice. Is it a coincidence or is it a reality?
It cannot be a coincidence. It's a human system. Let me first say that the two big personalities in the education, the Director General of Ghana Education Service, the Minister for Education, they are not interested in these peanuts.
Okay.
In fact, most of them don't even go to the center where these things have been done. But it is a human system. So the person that even have the code to even do changes may himself or herself not even be involved in any way of taking money from somebody.
Okay.
But there can be a certain third, fourth party who knows the person that can do a change and can go and take money from somebody and then comes to say that, oh, this is my cousin, this is my what, the changes may be done. Because it is a human system, you know, Manasseh once did some investigative journalism on this. It is a human system, and judging from our background and our developing nature as a country, no one can rule out completely the fact that somebody can go and pay something to somebody. But you see, you said that some people say, I paid and I got what I want. I've also heard so many people complain that they pay money for somebody, but they didn't get what they want. It tells you that the system is quite rigid. And as I said earlier, if we as Ghanaians will allow the CSSPS to work, there will be no problem. It is we that interfere with the system. It is we that put pressure on authorities to twist certain things by not allowing the system to work the way it should. But whichever way you look at it, the computer placement is best. When it comes to the rural folks, the computer placement has been best to them. Today, go to the so-called big schools. Here you see people, so many students coming from extremely poor background in those schools. People that are saying they are paying money today before they will get what they want. I can assure them that if it was still the manual system, they would have paid like 3, 4, 5 times.
Okay.
They would have paid like 3, 4, because that one, you really need to even give money to somebody to go and take your card physically and bring your card to his school and say that I have admitted you. So you go to the center when it was the manual system and you go and see students' card plenty there left unattended to. And the child will be sitting down at home. And the parents will have to take them to it. It happens to me. 1996 when I was going to secondary school. My uncle had to take me by hand to Nungwa Secondary School, go and talk to the then headmaster, no headmistress, to admit me. You see, to admit me. So the manual system is a no. The CSSPS, as introduced in 2006, is good. And it is doing it just the way it should do. The challenges that is as a result of the CSSPS are very few. For example, there is some small evidence where somebody is taken to the school of the deaf and the person is not deaf. Those are minimal.
Okay.
And there can be a boy taken to a girl's school or a girl taken to a boy. Those are mistakes of the CSSPS. That one is a mistake of the CSSPS. And they are minimal, infinitesimal. But the major problems of the CSSPS that we are seeing is not the software, it's human interference.
Okay, so if it is true that, yes, people also, so there are some people who claim they pay monies, yet they don't get what they wanted, then there's some element of scamming in
Yes.
what it is. How do we prevent this from happening? Because you see,
it's just like the
at the end of the day, systems are to ensure some kind of decency,
Yes.
ensure
Yes.
what do you call it, that things are in proper perspective,
Yes.
and not for to favor some few people or that kind of thing. So how do we prevent this poor parents from
going through those turmoil?
Yes, scammed.
You see, the CSSPS, as I continue to say, is a good, perfect system. But the issue of scam and fraud, I don't see how we can stop it. It's just like the Momo thing. You will be there and somebody will call you. MTN doesn't know anything about that. So people know it's the placement time. You know that even when the placement has not started, somebody was able to issue a letter on GES letterhead and circulated it in this country, asking people that the BECE results has been released and they should go to this site and they should do this, and GS have to come out with a disclaimer. Even when Ghana Education Service even want to do promotion of teachers, recently too, another person also issued a letter on GES letterhead saying that GES is recruiting 50,000 people. So if you want to be recruited, go to this site. Those things, the ability to hurt it when it pops its head so that people do not suffer the consequences is what we can do. But to prevent it from coming up, I don't see how it will be made possible.
So you realize that where there's a demand and the supply does not meet the demand, there's apprehension. Over the years, parents have become used to the fact that when it gets to placement period, there's a likelihood that your child may not get a choice.
Yeah.
And the perception is that the larger percentage feels that their kids may not get their preferred choice.
It's because we all want to go to a certain selection.
So because of that apprehension, they become susceptible to whatever might seem juicy.
Yes.
And so GES possibly, do they not have any mechanism of receiving complaints and a mechanism for addressing those complaints or investigating those complaints?
They have
so that we could have some of these people apprehended and prosecuted to serve as a deterrent to others.
The GES have a call center.
Okay.
The call center is somewhere, and then they have the one at the teachers' hall that receive the physical people, and then they have the call center and all that. But the GES does not have the capacity that this phone number called you, that send me money, and then if you send me the money, I can get the school that you want. And then when you report that number to GES will trace that number, go get the person arrested and then prosecute. The only thing the Ghana Education Service can do is that if you report to them and they verify and they realize it's not coming to them, they will tell you that no, this is not coming to us, so it's a possible fraud. The next thing they can do is to forward that contact that has been calling people that give me money, I'll give you placement to national security. Okay. That's what that GES can do. So what GES does all the time is that whenever what GES does all the time is that whenever there is placement is about to begin, or before even the results are released, they sent a circular and tell them that the exams has been written, the results have not been released yet. When the results is released, both GES and WAEC will come out with an official announcement. Okay. And then when the placement is about to begin, they give the date that the placement will be ready on this date. So on this date, when you go to the site, this process, you see the school that you have been placed.
Okay.
That's what they do.
So Mr. Awudu, let me thank you here because I think we cannot exhaust all the issues bedeviling the success of the computer selection and placement system. Yeah. We might need to meet another time.
Sure.
And continue this wonderful discussion.
Exactly.
But before I sign off, I would want to find out from you if you have any concluding remarks.
Yes, so my concluding remarks first goes out that the CSSPS is good than the manual system. We as individuals should minimize or stop completely our forceful way of trying to manipulate the CSSPS. The CSSPS is managed by a consultant. For the consultant, when GES released the BEC results to him, and he feeds the data into the system and generates the schools, then he hands it over to GES. The rest is with GES and the Ministry of Education to work with. Fast forward, let me also say hi to all my members of Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana, formerly Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana.
Thank you
very much,
Mr. Awudu, for coming. It is obvious that we cannot conclusively deal with this subject matter in one production. But what is critically clear is that despite whatever issues we have with the computer selection and the placement system, it is far better than the manual system. So, like we say in our local parlance, we don't throw away our baby with the dirty water. We should not throw away the CSSPS. What we need to do is to strengthen it, identify the weaknesses, and correct those weaknesses. Aside that, parents, students, and all Ghanaians alike should accept the fact that anywhere you are placed, it is still Ghana. Any school you are placed in still is under the jurisdiction of the Ghana Education Service. And that much depends also on the student and not only the institution. The institution is just like a pipe. What is important is the water, the quality of the water that flows through it. So it is the students more than the institution. And so this brings us to today's episode of Policy Pulse. We have explored the complexities surrounding the computerized school selection and placement system and the significant impact that it makes on the life of our future and the future of our students. As we wrap up, let's remember that the journey from junior high school to senior high school is not just about numbers. It is about the dreams and aspirations of our children. It is essential for policymakers and the Ghana Education Service especially to listen to the voices of these wailing parents and the confused and frustrated students who are most often affected by the challenges that possibly may exist in the CSSPS. Let's work collaboratively to bridge these gaps. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. King Ali Awudu, Venerable President of the Association of Pre-Tertiary Teachers Union of Ghana, for your time. And I'm looking forward to have you here again for us to wrap up this discussion. I also want to thank our sponsors, the Hedge Pension Trust, who has gracefully and been supporting this program. I want to thank my crew and the entire membership of ClockSAT. Stay tuned, my cherished viewers, and thank you for accepting us in your home. Until we meet again, it's bye from Clock TV Studios, from your regular host, Cephas Na Dusu. Stay blessed.